Okay, so I've been wanting to do this for a while, and life has just been crazy with 5 kiddos. So I'm finally getting to it. I typed it all up, so I'm literally going to read it to you so that I don't miss any of the details. I tried to get them in there. Some of them are a little TMI, but if you are listening to this, it is a home birth. It is a birth in general, so there's always going to be that TMI details. So I have had 3 births in hospital with epidurals, my first 3. And then my 4th baby I had in hospital, but I had midwife, and I tried to go the natural route. I had no epidural or anything like that. As with every hospital birth, it never goes exactly how you're wanting it to. So even though I had planned on doing everything completely holistic, there's still things that the hospital says they have to do by requirement. And so some of those things that I wanted to do, I didn't get to, or I just was more nervous than I thought I would be. But again, that 4th one I did with no epidural. I did it more natural with a midwife. She is also the one who delivered my 4th baby, Micah. So yeah. Anyways, so number 5 was our first home birth, completely natural, completely holistic, really exciting. Leading up to that, I did not do any ultrasounds. I did a blood test to find out the gender because I am a prepper. I like to know what to prepare for, so that I could prepare for either a boy or a girl. So we did do a blood test. One of the mail-in kinds, I cannot think of the name of what I went with, but it's like the most renowned gender reveal blood test one. Anywho, okay, so our 5th blessing's name is Ruby Joy, and our home birth was literally a dream home birth. Like, I could not have asked God for a better outcome for our home birth. God answered literally every one of our prayers, from flip-flopping from a potential breech birth position to a smooth labor and delivery, you guys. It was just beautiful. It all started when Mark came home from a 2-week annual training trip. So he was in, I believe, California. Again, a lot of life has happened since then. I believe it was in California, and he's in the Army National Guard, so he was in annual training. So I wasn't supposed to be due for 2 more weeks. So him being gone wasn't that big of a deal. I thought that I had plenty of time. We'd be able to acclimate to life with him once he got back. Anyways, I'll get back to my notes so I don't jump the gun on this. It was a Sunday evening. We had gotten the kids to bed and spent some quality time together. If you know, you know. After that, I had contractions pretty inconsistently the rest of the evening and through the night. They were about 5 to 10 minutes apart. If you have birthed babies before, you know that that's close together, but sometimes they can stop and start and go away and come back and all the things. So 5 to 10 minutes apart for me wasn't that big of a deal. It was just annoying. But around 3 a.m., I got up and walked around the house, hoping that that would slow them down. And when that didn't seem to help, I bounced on the birth ball. I love my birth ball, y'all. I just like to sit on it and bounce on it, and it's just comfortable, okay? So when neither one of those helped, I went back to bed about 5 a.m. And when Mark got up to go to drill, I told him about the contractions and asked him what on earth he had eaten on his trip, because there was no way that I was actually in labor this early. Yes, I'll admit I may have been in slight denial at this point because I don't have early babies. Like, my first 4 babies were all late. I had a 3-day late, 5-day late, 7-day late, and a 14-day late, which, again, I did my 4th natural, but they did induce me because I had no signs of going into labor at 14 days past my, what they call, due date. But you know that can be off by quite a bit. So yeah, I don't have early babies, but now I do. Okay, so I jumped the gun on that. I'm sorry. So I'll go back to my notes. We agreed, since the contractions were still 5 to 10 minutes apart, even in the morning, And since all of our babies came after their due dates, like I said, that he would go ahead and go to drill that day. And I would just let him know if anything changed. So all morning I felt contractions, but they never got closer together or more consistent. So I still assumed they were just Braxton Hicks. I have always had Braxton Hicks from about 25 plus weeks. They're just uncomfortable and annoying. But my sister-in-law, one of my sister-in-laws, she never has Braxton Hicks until like it's go time. So for me, that was just normal. So I was just like, oh, okay, it's cool. It's Braxton Hicks. Not a big deal. Give me just a second. I hear Miss Ruby Joy. Okay, so Mark got out of drill early, which was a nice surprise and gave him time to catch up on the lawn work that had gone undone the whole time he was gone. And I went to the office and got some work done between contractions, which I was having to stop and breathe through, but still they were about 5 to 10 minutes apart. I then went ahead and told my midwife what was going on, but that I was still planning on being at the appointment in the morning. Boy, is that kind of a silly statement now to think back on. But then next I called my mom and also told her what was going on and asked her to pray that if this was real labor, it would speed up, and if it wasn't, that it would just go away completely. Because at this point, I was beyond annoyed and tired because, again, I kept thinking, I don't have early babies, y'all. So shortly after that, we got off the phone, and Mark had finished his work outside and came in to check on me. But as soon as he walked in the door, I was hollering for him to come to the bathroom. Again, this is one of those TMI moments, okay? I was pretty sure that my mucus plug had just come out. There's no mysteries in our marriage at this point when it comes to childbirth because he's been there for all of the births on the wrong end of the birth. Okay. To which his response was, "Do I have time to put the lawn equipment away?" While he did that, I again updated our midwife and my mom. For some people, they can lose their mucus plug weeks in advance, but for me, that's never been the case before. So by the time Mark came back inside, my contractions were only about 2 minutes apart. So he frantically asked if he had time to shower before my next contraction, to which I responded, well, no, but you have time to shower before I have a baby. So after his shower, he quickly helped me into a pair of Depends. Yes, I use those, and I have no shame to my game, y'all. Okay? None. And then called the midwife to tell her the door was unlocked and for her to come straight in, because at that point he was like, I'm just going to be with my wife the whole time. I'm not going to answer the door. And then he called my mom to ask her to bring dinner and hang out with the kiddos so that they would be supervised, you guys. So 10 minutes after the midwife showed up, my water broke, which thankfully those amazing Depends or disposable underwear, whatever you want to call them, caught it all. Thank goodness. I continued to labor standing on the side of my bed, which was never the plan. But since the kids were in the mix, you got to do what you got to do. And thankfully, I had already prepared the bed, which I'll talk about later. So everyone else was running around preparing everything for Ruby's arrival. And since my mom wasn't there yet to watch the kids, we put them all in the den to watch a movie. So everything else could play out smoothly. And thankfully, that worked. I just lost my... Okay. So at this point, I was solely focused on what was going on internally and letting everybody else take care of everything externally. So I knew that my contractions were 30 seconds to a minute apart and that each one was bringing us closer to meeting our newest blessing. I will let you meet her at the end of this. The only thing I remember actually verbalizing was, I'm pretty sure that I'm pooping. Yeah. So after that, Mark said he didn't even realize I was pushing because all he saw was my knees and feet shift. Then the midwife told him to lift my dress and signaled that it was time. I will stop right there and let you know that they kept asking me if I wanted to take off my dress. And I was like, I don't want to feel completely exposed, which is silly because I'm having a baby. They're going to see everything. But I wanted to feel modest in my space, which I know some women are just, let's just do this naked thing, but I couldn't, you guys. So I had a dress on the whole time, which I'm still glad for, and I would still do it all over again. Okay, so the midwife told him to lift the dress and signaled that it was time. That's when he realized that Ruby's head was already out, and he was confused why I wasn't still pushing. But later I explained that I knew how close my contractions were, and I was letting my body naturally work with Ruby to get her out. So I didn't need to push on my own time. I just waited for those contractions to naturally want me to push, and I just helped with that. So with the next surge, Ruby was out completely and in Daddy's hands. Her umbilical cord was short, so Mark continued to hold her while Adlai, our midwife, helped me maneuver and get onto the bed, and then placed Ruby on my stomach. Once her cord completely emptied out, it lengthened enough to where I could pull her up onto my actual chest. She rooted around for a little bit, and then she latched beautifully for the first time. Not all of my babies have latched immediately. One or two of them, with very much frustration and tears, took a while to get them to latch or to figure out how to open their mouth wide enough, or there's just, nursing can be a difficult topic, and we can talk about that. If you want to, you can message me or email me or text me or whatever. Because it's very much worth it if you can at all. I know some women just really cannot nurse. It just does not, their body does not want to work with them on that. And I get that. But if you can power through it, even if it's painful in the beginning, it's so worth it in the end. I will say I was not expecting it to be as painful as it was this time, since it is my 5th go around, but it was still very much painful for the first like week and a half. They were just raw all the time. Anyway, that TMI moment. Okay. So she was born 20 minutes after my water broke, and my mom got there shortly after that, and my other babies got to meet their newest sister, and on a small scale experience the miracle that is birth, you guys. The kids didn't realize I had even had Ruby yet, and their response was, "But Mama didn't even scream." So I thought that was kind of funny. This birth was by far the smoothest, quickest, most controlled pain, and least nerve-wracking I have had yet. I got a small glimpse of how God designed birth to be. Beautiful, intimate, empowering, and life-changing, without all of the bright lights, interventions, loud noises, constant touching, and feeling powerless. I absolutely loved it. And I know home births are not for everybody, but that was just my experience, my first experience. And again, I know that's not everybody's first experience, or it's not in the cards for some people. It's expensive if insurance doesn't cover it, but that was the desire of my heart, and I couldn't shake it. And so that is what we did. And we are so glad that we did. And God showed up in a powerful way, and it was just beautiful. So in the next segment of video, I will I'll introduce you to Ruby in just a second. But in the next segment of video, I will give you a list of things that really helped with this birth. I haven't used them with all my births, but if I had known about them, I would have. And I will in the future use them again. So give me a second. Let me grab Rubes. All right, so this is Miss Ruby Joy. She is now 3 months old, like I said in the very first video. It took me a while to make this. She just turned 3 months, and she's beautiful and perfect just the way God made her. And she's here, and she's healthy, and she's whole.